Hi, I'm Jaloren, and I'm introducing Kathy with Nonny Knows.
And hi, I'm Kathy. I am Nonny, and I am getting ready to start a house called Nonny's House. Simply because I've been teaching for about 30 years right here in St. Lucie County, Florida, and I've been teaching in private schools. These private schools have often allowed me a great deal of freedom to put my classroom in a place where children felt safe and comfortable and free to learn, instead of stifled in those chairs with rows and desks and chalkboards and nothing else pretty to look at. My classrooms always had a nice sitting area. Well, not anymore. I was recently fired right before the end of the school year. If you've read my GoFundMe page, you'll see how that happened, and it really threw me for a loop. But on the other side of this loop, I landed on a trampoline and I'm going. I have been asked for years to start a school of my own, from parents, from friends, even from other teachers. They felt that if I opened a school, I would have great success with it. I've always been a little afraid of it because of the administration part. I know I can do the children. That's the gift that God gave me. But the administration, not my thing. So, God brought people into my life that do like administration and do like legal documents and permits and all kinds of stuff like that. And they have children that are my students presently. And it looks like we're going to make it happen. But, of course, we need a little bit of money. So what is the school going to be like? Why do I feel like my school is going to be different than anybody else's? Basically, I'm not the first to notice this. Everything's changed in our world, our societies, our homes, our churches. Everything's online. We can all blame it on COVID, but it's been happening for a lot longer than that. And it's infiltrated our classrooms now to where the teachers no longer have the authority in the classroom. The curriculum tells the teacher what to do. In fact, some of them are even scripted, so they tell the teacher what to say. It's just become too much. We have a whole new profession built on conscious discipline, which is a child-centered discipline instead of a Christ-centered discipline. It's a discipline in which the children are allowed to determine how they're going to behave and what they're going to do. We got to stop them.
So why now, Kathy? Why now do you want to open your own school?
Oh dear. Yeah, that's a big one. Well, I've had a vision since I was like 27 that I would have my own camp. But what happened just recently in my life has altered that to be more than just a camp. I am going to have a school itself because of what's happening in the classrooms. First of all, if you know about my GoFundMe, I was fired 4 weeks before school ended. I was taken out of my classroom on a Wednesday afternoon after the children were dismissed, and I was told I no longer had an ESE position, that they no longer had an ESE position, and that I was being terminated. I was blown away, blown into smithereens. This was going to be my last year. I was going to retire this year, and I was going to work into my microgreens, which you'll hear about that on another video. But I had no intention of leaving the school year before it was over. In Jesus, I would never do that. I have never done that. I have been teaching for 30-something years, and I've never lost a job. I've never left in the middle of a year. I would never, especially not with special needs students, you guys. And they cut me out of the classroom 4 weeks before their graduation, and I did not even get to say goodbye. I was pretty much on my face. The rug was pulled out from under me, from behind me, because I didn't even see it coming, and I landed flat on my face. And I stayed there for a couple of days, maybe even a week. Yeah, it's never happened, and I didn't know what to say to anybody. And then I got up and God said, you're going to open a school yourself. The school that you can teach about me, and all children will be accepted. All children will be welcome, young and old. So I said, what? That sounds cool. Now, the reason why, though, why did I lose my job? Did I do something wrong? Was I hurting a child? Did I miss any days of work? No, as a matter of fact, oh my gosh, I was their star teacher at the beginning of the school year. The first semester on my evaluation, I got all 4s and 1 5. A 5 is the highest number you can get during this evaluation. And folks, I was the only person in the history of the school to get a 5. How crazy is that? I loved it. I was like, what? I'm not even sure what it was for because they wouldn't give me a copy of the evaluation. They don't do that. I don't know. They just keep it in the file. But anyways, I was excited. I went home. I told all my friends and family. We partied. We celebrated. Woohoo! The best. It was awesome. How do you explain to them 3 months later that you got fired?
So tell us about some of the accomplishments you had within your classroom.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. There's a lot of accomplishments. I'm gonna go really quick through them. I won't get into any details, but I had a little girl who this year, I'm just talking about this year's classroom, okay? Because this is the year that wrecked me. This is the year that made me say I have to open a school. I had a little girl, 5 years old in kindergarten, who was still not using the bathroom properly. She would not use the toilet, so she had to wear pull-ups still. Well, this group of behavior therapists came in, and they were working with her for the first half of the year, all the way up through, let me try to get this right, March. And she was no longer even wetting her diapers. She was now holding her urine completely. I know I said I wouldn't get into details. Skip. That's going to be a cut it.
Okay.
The whole year they had been working with this young girl and were not able to successfully potty train her. Anyways, we had this whole big group meeting. There was like every therapist and specialist from the school that worked with this child was in the classroom, including myself and the principal and the assistant principal. Somehow, and I'm going to tell you how, it was by the grace of God, I came up with a solution, and 2 days later this little girl was potty trained. That's one of my biggest accomplishments for this year. Another one of my biggest accomplishments for this year would be a little boy, a precious little boy, who was not able to go into the first grade, so he was in my class. He was unable to go into the first grade because he could not speak. He was what you called nonverbal autistic. And he started off as a handful because not only could he not speak, but he could not even look at you or pay attention. He was a handful, and he required an RBT. There was no doubt. But as the year continued, I saw much success in him, in fact, to the point where he is now communicating. Not just mimicking words, but he's actually expressing his thoughts and ideas and letting his request be known, things that he needs. Huge! That is why I work with special needs children. Those are only 2 examples from this year. I am telling you, if we sat for a while, I could give you at least 12 more. Huge examples like this. I'm talking benchmarks. And if we went back in my career last year and the year before 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 and the, I'm not going to do it 30 times. But I've been doing this for a long time. And when the ABAs and the RBCTs, ABDXLOYZ, I'm not sure what all their letters are, but when they infiltrated my classroom this year, they took away from me the authority that any good teacher needs in a classroom. And my classroom became not fun. No longer was it fun. Not for me. I hated going to work. You guys, I lost 15 pounds without trying, all right? I didn't need to, but I couldn't eat. These people, every time I turned around, they were trying to do something differently than I was doing it, but that's not even the worst of it. You'd think that would be bad, that I would have like 15 adults in my classroom that were going against the flow instead of with the flow, okay? That's not even the worst part. The worst part is that my administration refused to respond to my requests for help. But guess who didn't refuse? God. I got my joy back, even in the classroom, after a very unnecessary badgering from the owners of this particular ABA group, who came to my classroom and literally left my classroom. No, first they were telling me how I did not do a certain procedure the way they wanted it done. Last I heard, I worked for my school. I do things the way we want it done at my school, not your way, our way. It was not a nice conversation. But let me tell you the worst part and why I probably stopped eating. As they left, they said to me that I was an uneducated and an uninformed woman. That can be a cut. Because I don't have enough initials behind my name. But you know what? I'm not even going to keep my name anymore. I will only introduce myself as Nonny now. Nonny knows that you shouldn't have to leave school crying. Nonny knows that you shouldn't have to go to school crying. Nonny knows that people are supposed to be kind to each other and loving to each other. And I think we've lost that. But Nonny knows how to get it back. And it's going to be at Nonny's house. And maybe this will be the first one, but I don't think it'll be the last one.